Hello. Alright, so ignore the text on screen right now. I actually wasn't going to record my voice because I sound really young when recording myself for some reason. But you know what? It's fine. Yeah. Also, everything's my opinion, so if you disagree with me on anything, that's completely fine. Alrighty, so anyways, I wanted to talk about this silly little show I found 3 years ago before it officially ends and how I've kept up with it and still love it. I remember in 2023 when I opened up YouTube and saw the pilot pop up on my homepage. I don't watch shows or movies too often, so I ignored it at first. But then I remember seeing it everywhere I go. Some of my friends' PFPs would change the characters from the show like Chance upon me. I'd keep seeing reaction videos, animation memes, or fan art. But I still ignored it. Then I really got disinterested when I saw brain rot and content farm to the show. Of course, it wasn't official or canon. It was completely separated from the show and its creators. It wasn't affiliated with them. And yet, still, it put me off because I got the impression that the show itself must be childish, cringe, or edgy, just from outside media, not even officially affiliated with the show itself. I kept hearing about how good it was, how amazing the writing was, how good the soundtrack was, and yeah, I caught myself listening to the main theme and Your New Home over and over because it did sound really good. But the drama and brain rot surrounding the pilot at the time made me underestimate the quality of the show until I watched it after a few weeks. At first, it didn't seem like anything special. Sure, I laughed a bit, but I never thought a show like this would ever truly immerse me, get me invested, or have any impact or meaning on me, like DDLC or Mori. But I'm glad to say that I'd be proven wrong. And after watching the pilot, even though I wasn't fully hooked in yet, I still could acknowledge that the show itself was way better than I imagined. I honestly thought it'd be a typical show, which only has average edgy jokes and moments pushed in alongside cheap scares or cool moments without any depth. And I'd have no problem if it did end up like that because I'm not the writer and I understand not everybody has the same taste as me. I just wouldn't watch it myself since it's not my preference. And yes, I know it was just a pilot and it takes time for any show to kick off, but you can still get an impression and some sort of an idea for how the writing and overall feel the show would be progressing forward. But instead, I really did enjoy the pilot. I like the characters and the designs a lot, especially Hinger and Sybil because of how unique I found their characters to be. Also, the pilot did something I was really hoping it would, and that was make me want answers. I wanted to know more about the circus. I loved the snippets of the CNA office at the end. I wanted to know more about Kane. I wanted to see how Polly and Gangle will develop. And I wanted to know why Jackson Racket act the way they do and if there's more to them. And after finishing the pilot and liking it so much, I got back to YouTube and saw those videos of brain rot and videos calling TADC the show with the worst content farm. And honestly, it was sad seeing an indie show accomplishing such success and being an instant internet hit be portrayed as merely that one show which attracted content farms. I felt bad because this show deserved better, and I could tell it had effort and genuine passion poured into it just from the animation, the voice acting, and little details like the Wacky Wash website, which I thought was so cool. Though usually stuff like this does pass once the show gets more episodes since we get to talk more about other stuff, and thankfully it did. But from the beginning, I was taught something important that I've always kept in mind for the entire run of the show. Don't let the fandom or outside media of the show ruin your experience of the actual show. The show itself is separate from what other people do with it, and it is and always will be okay to like the show for what it is. And that's the next point. Appreciate the show for what it is. I've seen so many people come up with a bunch of theories, even from the earlier episodes, like the pilot or episode 3, for things such as the ending. And that's perfectly fine. It's fun to theorize about the show and come up with predictions. The issue is when people take these predictions and theories like they're the only outcomes the show could ever have, and that they're the correct interpretations and anything else is wrong or bad writing. I've seen people become disappointed or even angry when their theories are debunked or don't happen. And yes, it's understandable to be a little bummed when your ideas don't end up becoming true. But headcanons exist and you can still have your own interpretations without attacking the show. I've seen rants about how TADC has bad writing because it doesn't have some crazy sci fi plot, or a deep lore with a lot of details, or because some characters don't get as much screen time or attention than other characters. But we should keep in mind that this is a 9 episode series, and with what time they had, I believe they did do well with exploring these characters and getting us to care and be attached to them. And yes, I do wish we had more filler, but the creators didn't intend for that. Even if we disagree with it, we should still respect it. Also, the thing is, the show was already established to be a dark comedy with some emotional moments here and there. The main characters are confirmed to be Jackson Pomley, so of course they'd get more screen time. And the show's already stated that it's focused more on its characters rather than the lower plot, and that's okay. The writer, Gooseworks, wanted to have their own idea come to life, and they did. I believe we should be happy for them for that. And you might argue that the writers shouldn't just write whatever they want, they need to focus on quality as well, which, as much as I agree with, doesn't apply here, in my opinion, because Gooseworks did focus on the quality. For example, are you going to call a game about solving puzzles bad because there aren't any boss battles, even though it was already stated to be a puzzle game? Of course not. You'll accept it's a puzzle game and therefore not your taste, so you'll move on and find another game that does have boss battles. The same thing goes for TADC, in my opinion. It doesn't make sense to get angry at the show or the writers just because they didn't write the show exactly the way you wanted them to. And I'm not saying that TADC is the greatest, flawless, most perfect masterpiece ever, or that you're not allowed to dislike it. You are completely entitled to your opinion, and so is everybody else. But don't hurt other people over it because this is a fictional show, and nobody's well being should be compromised for it, including the writers. It doesn't make sense to attack the show and its writers just because your ideas and their ideas are different. There are billions of people in this world, and they can't make everyone happy. Regardless of how they wrote the show, somebody would have different interpretations, which is okay. But it shows that there's no perfect way of writing the show because TADC could have been about anything. It could have been about science fiction, war, evil corporations, experimentation, torture, magic, fantasy, etc. But it's not. It's a dark comedy about characters learning to find hope in a hopeless situation, learning to live in a stale life. Having different interpretations and headcanons is okay. What's not okay is hating the show just because it didn't adhere to your every liking. Instead, how about we judge the quality of writing for how the show executes itself? The show is about hope and enjoying living and finding meaning in our existence at its core. So, does it do a good job in portraying those themes? Yes, I believe it does. I appreciate the show for what it is, for what it's trying to be, and for what it's taught me. The scene with Kinger and Ragita in episode 6 wasn't some grand dramatic scene which would get reposted all over social media. Instead, it was a conversation which felt real and resonated so deeply with me. I took the moment in and saw it for what it was. I teared up because I felt for Ragita and understood her, and because I was glad she could finally get some help and reassurance from Kinger. I loved the scene between Zubul and Gengal because we saw how badly Gengal was affected from Jax and how she's finally allowed to breed because of Zubul. I loved Zubul for how kind she was to Gengal and because she gave her a helping hand. literally. And of course, I loved the scene between Jax and Pomni. Like, I genuinely liked it so much because of how real it felt. I thought Pomni would get hurt and then shoot herself, leading to Jax feeling guilty, and that would be it. But instead, she fought Jax and genuinely tried her best to get through to him and help him. I loved how we got to see more of Jax and his mindset alongside his struggles. I loved Kane's entire character in episode 8. He was already my favorite, but I loved this character even more for how much I could relate to it and could understand it. But most of all, the entire writing for his arc was so amazingly written. I honestly believe they did such a great job with portraying Kane and the type of character he was. Actually, he's such a well-written character, oh my gosh. And yeah, I love every single character and moment in this show for what they are. The entirety of TADC is genuinely an amazing and meaningful show, and the message of the show and what it's showing us shouldn't be overshadowed by the disappointment of different interpretations and expectations. Even if some things end up different than we want, different doesn't necessarily mean bad, and we should still appreciate the show for what it's truly about. Moving on to the fandom drama. Yippee! Okay, let's be honest. It's been getting worse than before, but honestly, it doesn't affect me as much because I don't interact with it much. I just make and post fan art, but that's about it. This is my first video actually talking about my thoughts, but even then it's not a big deal since I'm not really putting myself out there and getting involved with some big drama or anything. I'm just voicing my opinions. But anyways, choosing to simply enjoy the show itself whilst not engaging with or getting fixated on any fandom drama, because there will always be some amount, even a little, in any fandom, was the best choice I could make. Yes, I was kept updated through YouTube shorts from YouTubers like Ailmao, but I never let the drama negatively influence or ruin my experience of the show itself. It was the best thing ever since it allowed me to not get influenced with the drama and instead have space of my own to breathe, taking the show for what it is, get immersed, and love it. And speaking of fandom drama, now I want to talk about the finale leak. I was actually kind of confused hearing that people were blaming Gooseworks instead of the hacker. To me, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to blame the literal creator of a show you're so dedicated to, the people who made the show exist in the first place, than the person actually responsible for leaking the movie just because they wanted money without any regard for the enjoyment and experience of other people. And if you've seen any leaks, then at least don't go around putting random spoilers everywhere. And I've seen people go, the finale sucks, in random comment sections. Or when people try to mention anything they like about the show, these people would be like, actually, spoilers. Thank you for that. It's already wrong and annoying that they're trying to spoil and ruin this meaningful show for other people, rather than just keeping it in and waiting a few more days or weeks to get people's reactions and opinions from the real movie. But it's made worse by the fact that they're spoiling this movie for others because they themselves simply didn't like it personally. And hey, if you don't like it, cool. That's perfectly fine since everyone has opinions. Therefore, considering the fact that everyone has opinions, just because you didn't like this movie doesn't mean others won't either. Your distaste doesn't justify or give you any right to spoil the finale of a show which resonated with so many people and ruined their experience. If you have seen the leaks, at the very least, be a decent person and don't ruin the experience for others. Nobody is forcing you to type out spoilers for the finale. You'll get everyone's reaction once the movie officially releases, anyways, so at least be patient and respectful enough for that. And that's it. Thankfully, I haven't been spoiled yet, and I'm finally able to write down my final thoughts. Gooseworks is an amazing writer, composer, and creator. I'm happy that her vision for the show came to reality and that she was able to create it and present it to us the way she wanted to. Thank you so much to the Glitch producers and Gooseworks for making this amazing show. I loved every second of it. I loved counting down the days to the next episode. I loved waking up every morning and getting excited for a new episode. I loved the increase in animation quality as time went on, and I loved looking back at the time where I thought this show wouldn't hook me up. And now it's my favorite show ever. I loved every second of this 3-year long journey, and I'm confident I'll love the end as well. Although it won't truly be the end because I'm sure there are many dedicated fans who will keep talking about and appreciating the show and keeping it alive. TADC made a genuine impact on me and taught me important things which resonated with my life and myself. The message of living life in a stagnant world was special to me and meant so much to me for personal reasons. And I know it's just a fictional show, but it did give me hope and new positive perspectives for different aspects of life. TADC is amazing for what it is, and in my opinion, it excelled at portraying its message to the audience. This show, even if just slightly, did make me a better person and helped me find meaning and value in so many things that I usually take for granted. Despite the drama surrounding the show, I will always appreciate it because the fandom is separate from the show itself, and it shouldn't overshadow the fun, joy, tears, excitement, and the impact and importance it brought to us. I will always love this show. Anyways, that's it. Bye.